Hello, Change Talks podcast friends. I'm so happy to see this podcast getting traction and new listeners with every new episode. The very idea behind this podcast is to share the knowledge about change management, about mastering the change, because it's still a rare and underdeveloped skill set. Well, not only underdeveloped, but often not understood well. Which is really pity because this skill set is essential when you want to achieve your goals, since we cannot unless we start to do things differently. We must act differently, behave differently, and think differently. Otherwise, we just stay put. But this lack of change mastery awareness affects all of us not only on, let's say, some general level. It has an effect on the whole change management profession and people who specialize in change execution. So I'm very excited to have a very exceptional guest today. Because today I'm here with a person who not only shares the same passion for change, but who also has the ambition to promote the change management and build a community of people alike. And it's also the person who stands behind Change Awards, the very first change contest. So let me introduce you Margo Waldorf, the lifelong change professional, change management advisor, and founder of Change Awards. Margo, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. That was really lovely, actually, to hear that. Apparently, according to you, I've done so many things which I don't think I have, but certainly striving to make the change community heard. Thank you so much for having me on the podcast.
Okay, so let's dive into the change world together then, and let's talk about the change.
Change Talks, your passport to exciting changes in your business, career, and life. Change Talks, your podcast when it's time to do things differently.
Margo, I have to admit that I do not meet true and dedicated change management professionals very often. We seem to be a rare species. So, which makes me always curious to find out what was the journey into this business niche. So, obviously, I have to start with this question. How did you become the change professional? Because it's not the usual childhood dream, is it? Like I remember, like in last year when my son was having the farewell at the kindergarten, and the kids produced the drawings with their profession dreams, and there were all the usual suspects: the policeman, the doctor, pilot, architect. So, what was on your drawing? Was it change manager?
I actually wanted to be a vet. For many years, I wanted to be a vet, but my dad told me that I'm probably too sensitive. So he said, it's probably not the best career for you. I think you're just a little bit too sensitive. Some animals die. I've dropped it at some point. But interestingly, because I actually I speak to people like yourself, and I speak to plenty change management professionals, and not only change management professionals, change behaviorists or change advocates, just professionals who actually work in change and innovation. And often they have had similar paths to development of the change management knowledge, if you wish. And they often come from either HR, or they come from project management sphere, or I think these are two common ones. Change management comes from project management and HR. With me, it wasn't this similar. So I remember I was working for a company many years ago, and naturally, to my parents' detriment, I'm one of those people who never ever compliance to the status quo. I always will question things, and I actually physically get very angry if things are stupid. Like, why are you doing this? This is just so stupid. And for many years, I couldn't understand that it's not okay to say you are an idiot because you don't do things well. There's actually, yeah, exactly. There's actually a nicer way of saying it. But it was the beginning of my career years ago when I was working for this company, and naturally, because like I said, innately status quo, I always question. I was working for this company. I was really pestering my manager, saying, well, this doesn't work, like this doesn't work, and this doesn't work, and this can be done better, and this can be done better. And I think finally they have just given up. They've given up, and they said, do you know what? if those things are not so good, they don't work very well according to you, why don't you just go and fix them? So I was actually going around and fixing those things, and I would be going around different teams and talking to different people and trying to find solutions and come up to any agreements, informal agreements and formal agreements. Then, a day would come, we would all meet together in the morning and we'll say, okay, from today, we're doing things differently. And back in the day, again, I didn't have any professional qualification behind me. I didn't know anything about project management. I didn't even know that change management as a discipline existed. Literally, I knew nothing. And it was just more of a hunch reaction, making sure that people agree to whatever my idea of the benefit for everybody would look like. And I remember that one year I went to an event which was organized, and there was a lady talking at this event. Her name was Melanie, it is still Melanie Franklin. And Mel Franklin was talking about change management. And I was thinking, oh my goodness, there was a name for something that I think I'm doing. And after the event, I came over to speak to her. And I said, look, I'm a project manager. By that time, I was officially called a project manager in one of the organizations that I was working in. I was like, oh, I'm a project manager. But what you say really resonates with me, because I actually, I don't really think that all that, let's jump on a trajectory of steps that we need to complete is very important. I think the people side is the most, the behavioral side, the people side is the most important. And she says to me famously now, she said to me, honey, what you're doing is not project management, it's change. And it really resonated with me so well. I got myself qualified just out of curiosity, because then again, I was thinking, well, what's the best way to gain that extra knowledge that I don't have? Well, let's just get some qualification in it, and then started really inhaling any knowledge possible about change management and questioning things. So yeah, in a short, maybe not that short, but in a couple of sentences, this was my route to becoming a change professional.
Yeah, I would say it's quite actually typical, that people that people became change managers without actually realizing that. It was the same for me, because probably it took me years or perhaps even the first decade, to find out that actually what I do can be described as a change management. And as you said, that there is a word for it. Yeah, there is a term.
So, yeah, and there is a word for it, but actually, look, I mean, let's not stick to the words that much, because, and again, I think this is just through my experience, is that change management as such is probably not change management is not the best description of what we do. Because I know that you come from product, right? So you come from product development, you come from marketing side of things. And I actually think this is where change really sits and resonates the most, because that's the moment of creativity where you physically can create something using that behavioral aspect, using that psychology behind change or neuroscience behind change, however you want to call it, to impact your customer. Right, but the work that you were doing at that time, you would not call it change management, right? So I'm just bringing it as an example.
Yeah, it's very true that people and companies usually think about the problem they need to solve, and they are looking for the solution of the problem. They are not immediately thinking about, okay, this is the job, for the change management, or for the change manager. They are looking for somebody who's going to help them to fix the problem. So if I may go back, to what you said about that you didn't have any formal education in terms of change management. So actually, what is your very background? What was your branch of study?
Oh my goodness! So I have studied. So I was born in Poland, and I have studied at Warsaw University. I've studied intercultural relations. So that was this I don't think it exists anymore, but at that time it was this interdisciplinary study about essentially different cultures, which are not European cultures. And it famously encompassed, I think, learning 16 languages,
Oh,
which we hated it.
so you speak 16 languages now?
Really barely one, I kid you not. But it was fun. But then my life has changed a little bit, and I came to the UK. And in the UK, I've always been, I had my business. I was really one of those people that, again, doesn't want to follow, probably wants to set up something for herself. And I have always been thinking, well, I lack that's just one piece of education. And then I've decided to go and do the master's degree here. But I was doing it in the meanwhile. I was doing some other things. And in the meantime, I actually moved to Japan for a while, and I was living in Japan for a while. But I was still continuing that master's degree, which was stupid because it was the other way around. So it was during the night in Tokyo versus it was during the day here. So it was horrible. But so here I've completed with the international business degree. So now I have an international business degree. But then again, everything goes back to you, as in, are you curious? Do you think it's enough? What does it mean to have a degree? These days, we are living in a fantastic world where the information is for free. And if you want to learn something new, you can just learn it by going on YouTube. So maybe a different question whether degrees are important or not, but certainly the access to information and access to knowledge is free.
Yeah. It seems that you really have embedded change also in your, personal life, right? Because moving from one country to another, then living for a while in Tokyo. So again, I see here, I recognize here some pattern here, really some passion for changing things, and not just business-wise, but also in your life. Yeah? And I think it's the engine behind, the change manager. That I don't believe that you can be a good change manager if you stay put also in personal life always, when you are not trying to collect new experiences, visit new places, meet new people.
I think so, but I completely agree, because I think for me, a good change professional, but again, this is for me. And when I say for me, I don't speak on behalf of the Change Awards here, okay? I just wanted to separate those things. But for me, a good change management professional is an individual who questions the status quo, who wants to always find the best solution. And when I say to find the best solution, I don't mean find win-win, because again, I think it's incorrect to find win-wins. I think that these are people who have had a lot of experience, and that experience was gained in different from different places. So it's somebody who's really questioning a lot of things on the individual level, and is able to apply them to, let's say, corporate level, if that makes sense. Because at the end of the day, if you think about it, the most common denominator in any change is person, is human, is that one being that can be your best friend and help you win things and help you achieve things, or can block you. So having more and more experience that allows you to cooperate with individuals and utilize those, I suppose, the effectiveness of the internal networks. I think it's very important.
So basically, it's some sort of troublemaker, right?
Well, no.
No, I mean in a good sense, because and you said that a couple of minutes ago that in your first job you were always challenging the things, right? You were saying, okay, this can be done differently. That could be better. So in a way, you were like troublemaker, no? Because people don't like very much, perhaps, if you go to them and say, okay, this process that really sucks, So how did you actually cope with this typical reaction of people? How do you think the change manager should deal with that? Not to be the troublemaker on the bad side, but rather to be a person who is bringing new, fresh, view or shedding new light on the things.
So I think there are two things here. So, okay, let's say I was a troublemaker for my management many years ago. Fine, I can agree with that. But then also at that time, I don't think I was a change professional, right? At that time, I was just a change agent, a person that comes from a particular, I suppose, so who works a particular process at an organization is not necessarily happy about that process. But these days, I think that change managers they don't know the answers, and they're not supposed to know the answers. A good change person is a person that can utilize the knowledge that is sitting within the, I suppose, within the organization or within the group of people that are impacted. Change manager is never a person that comes in and tells whomever they need to speak to that this is the best idea. They can say that this is the best idea, but because this is an idea that was vetted by, I don't know, 80% of the organization. So that's where the difference is, I think.
So you mentioned two traits of the change manager so far. It's this curiosity, and it's the variability or versatility of the experiences behind. So how do you think the person should collect these various experiences?
It's very simple. Like the Nike adverts, just do it.
You know that I'm always angry, when I hear that, because to me, just do it is one of the biggest misconceptions when it comes to change management as such. Yeah, but I think for this case it actually works. Yeah, just not to be afraid, right? So to go for this for these different experiences. Now, what I'm asking, for that is that usually when you look at how people's careers are judged is also by stability. And then, the experienced change manager has, a lot of items, on the CV, different companies, different jobs. So when looking through the traditional class, through the traditional lens, they may seem as, okay, this person is not really stable. It's fluctuating between companies and so on. Have you experienced this kind of judgment also in your career?
If I'm honest, I don't think I have, but I know where you're coming from. So look, I operate. So my clients are usually here in the UK, but I've had some international clients too. And in all honesty, I wouldn't be able to even talk to these clients if I wasn't, let's say, if I haven't had a lot of experience, okay? Because then you have a lot of experience and you can tell the story of a particular situation at a particular client, which might be quite relevant to somebody else. But at the same time, I know, and again, this is here in the UK, I know that there would be, or there is this internal, I suppose, way of looking at change management as an ingrained asset within organizations. And organizations are looking at those fixed resources, at fixed budgets, and they would be setting up internal change management centers of excellence, if you wish. So it wouldn't be unusual to find a change manager who was, let's say, a director level individual who has had, 10 years of an experience within one organization. But what I would also say is that, and again, I know that for a fact, that the change management community is rather curious, and there is plenty of opportunity for the change management community to connect and exchange ideas. So even if you have a change management professional who has had only, I don't know, one or two companies in their portfolio, it doesn't mean that they don't have enough of experience or haven't been, I suppose, exposed to an experience or certain type of experience. They may have learned this experience through case studies which are available in the market. At the same time, if you are like me and you have tons of companies on your portfolio, you are certainly exposing yourself to accelerated change in aspect of accelerated knowledge exchange. So there's a lot of failure, there is a lot of lessons, but nobody can take it away from you.
Yeah, you mentioned this change hubs within the organizations. Do you think they work? Because if they are in place for the extended period of time, one maybe guessing, okay, perhaps after some time they also get into this operational blindness. What is your what is your experience? Do you think these change hubs work or not?
Oh, hard to say if they work or not. But I'll tell you what I would like. Where I would like the change skill set that you talk about quite a lot. Where I would like that change skill set to move. I would like that change skill set to move to every single layer within organizations. I would like to have these discussions at the highest echelons. And I would like to believe in the future that when there is a new program of work that is going to happen across an organization, everybody within their own instincts, can I pronounce it well? They know what to do. Rather than having a certain body of excellence or change management excellence that comes in, and only in that place we can come over and show you how to do things. It'll be fantastic to have it if you wanted to, let's say, access some tools and techniques, or maybe need some extra help to implement things internally. But in my opinion, the change mindsets, the skills required to contribute to successful adoption within the organization, these are the skill set that should be measured and should be part of your job description, I suppose. That would be my ideal scenario.
I agree with you. That would be the ideal state. Yeah. So instead of creating some hubs to make sure that your management team is skilled, they have the know-how, they have the capability to really drive the change. Instead of creating some spot in the organization saying, okay, here we have people that will do the change or that will do the innovation, and the rest of the organization will just look at them and think, okay, what kind of magic is going to come from them, right? And I think it probably comes, from this project offices, because if you are running the projects in the organization, you have the project managers, dedicated project managers. It perhaps makes sense, to have them in some kind of hub, because they also need some kind of supervision, they need some kind of management, and even though they are working on different projects in different areas of the business. And the issue starts when the top management thinks about change management or innovation in the same way. Let's create this hub instead of creating and developing this skill set across the organization.
Yeah, completely agree with you. And I think if you look at the sheer extent of change which is happening within organizations, I think majority of that change is actually driven by either technology or regulation. So, okay, there is a bit of merger and acquisition going on, maybe a bit more than little. But some cases where companies need to streamline. But again, this could be because of either market conditions or economic conditions or socioeconomic conditions or because I don't know, there is a regulation coming in place, etc. But again, I think if you really want to focus on creating an internal community which is, I suppose, ready, always ready, you need to start thinking about those skill sets. So you need to start, like you said, to make sure that these skill sets are actually across the organization rather than just sitting in one particular space. And when you knock to the door, maybe somebody's going to open the door for you and say, "Yeah, okay, fine." "Oh, no, 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 sorry, not this time. There is a queue. You have to stand in the queue." I don't. That's really not. That's really not quick. That's really not agile. That's really anti-innovation, I would say.
Creating this kind of skill set across the organization, I think, hits one obstacle, which is that the people in the organization, if they are like, managing operation, managing finance, whatever, they have what you may call a daily job. They need to keep the engine always running. Yeah? If you are in operations, you need to make sure that you are able to deal with client requests, or if it's in manufacturing, the production line needs to be working, operational. If it's in finance, all the invoices needs to be paid. So there is a lot of operational stuff. So the people do not have too much time, too much, mental capacity to think about some strategic changes and so on. So do you have any opinion on that, how to build a skill in the organization if there is this kind of constraint?
Look, I mean, having not enough time or having different priorities is something that people are always going to be telling me about and telling you about, and they'll always say that this is the same thing. It's not my priority. I don't have enough time. I think it's about creating the space to focus on the right priorities. Maybe it is your top-down decision. How are you going to structure your teams to enable that? I suppose enable those little tiny projects or areas for improvement to sprout. Okay, so I'll give you an example. I was listening to, because I have discovered audiobooks. Okay, so I'm currently doing audiobooks so much. And I'm very behind, I know, because it's been with us for years, but I have just discovered that. And I was listening to this book in particular. It was about Kaizen, the Toyota, the Toyota way. And one of the things that they have done, which I thought, why nobody else is doing it, is that they have actually, so if you have a team and in that team, once a week or once a month, I can't remember, let's say once a month, every single person that works within the team is supposed to think about an idea that is going to improve the way they work. And then once a month, they would meet with their manager and they will say, "Hey, this is the idea that I had. That is definitely going to improve the way that I work and is going to positively impact the work of my colleagues." And then the manager would take that idea and help that person to implement that idea. I'm thinking, why are we not doing it? Because for me, change is not always about something extremely disruptive. Change oftentimes is just about tiny little snippets of, I don't know, progress, which are tiny, barely visible, but are heading towards a direction, and the direction is future. And that continuity of change is very important. If you block it, if you don't question people, if you don't create that opportunity for failure, if you don't create that within the teams, then you are straight away behind. So there are ways of doing it. I am not saying that this example was the best way of doing it. I'm just saying that this was an example that certainly works very well. And I think oftentimes and particularly these days, we victimize, or we put ourselves in this victim position of, I don't have enough time, I don't have enough resources, I don't have enough of this and that. So we need to start thinking a little bit differently and maybe more positively.
Yeah, the trick is making change the natural part of your daily routine, how you think about your job, what you do. I have seen many times companies trying to be more innovative by announcing some innovation competitions for the employees. But these one-off events do not work. First, because some people are just shy to come up with some ideas. They think my idea is not good enough, it's not innovative enough. Because if it's just one time, one shot, there is this kind of block. It needs to be super innovation, as you say. It doesn't have to be. It can be even some small, tiny thing. But if you do it on a regular basis, you move the company forward. Sometimes I use the example of some really small and kind of like almost unimportant idea. That I was told this story by one of my friends. He was working in a manufacturing company, and they had a problem in the restrooms, because the workers were writing different stuff, on the doors, at the restrooms. And they always had to repaint, the doors and clean it. And then somebody came with the idea, let's paint the doors with black, paint them black. Because if they are black, you cannot write on it. Or if you write, it's not possible to see that. So really ridiculous, yeah. It also gives you some insight, that there are different layers of problems that the management team needs to solve. If you are working in manufacturing versus in finance and so on, yeah. But even small things, like that, if you have the company culture, people come up with the ideas, how small, how unimportant they may seem, that's what you want to achieve. Yeah? So the continuity, not just like one shot. Okay, we have here 5 ideas, and this is the winner, and then so what?
Yeah, exactly. Because then if you think about it, I mean, on a daily basis, every single one of us has an idea that is going to improve our own lives. And I think, I'm sure we do, like, I don't know, like I'm going to buy a better or quicker microwave. So I don't know, I'm going to buy a quicker microwave. So when I'm making my coffee in the morning, I gain 10 seconds. Okay, for me, 10 seconds is a lot of time. But you see that small things like that. But if we don't unlock it within those ecosystems within our organizations, we are essentially losing. So we need to unlock it. We need to promote it. We need to say it's okay to fail. And we need to, I suppose, what's the words? Promote it and encourage that. I think that was the word I was looking for. We need to encourage that. So if we don't do it, like you said, it means that we're already failing.
Yeah, there's actually one more prerequisite for that, which is the commitment then of the management to really implement these ideas, or some of them. Because the worst thing is that you start bold. The people are usually very enthusiastic because they see, okay, this is now the chance, this is the opportunity to improve the company, the culture, the service for the clients.
Yes.
That's my experience, that people are really, really looking forward to these opportunities. But then, if you just collect these ideas and you say, okay, fine, but we cannot do this because that's too expensive. We cannot do that because that would take too much time, and we cannot do this because we don't have the IT capacity or whatever. You just show people that you are not really interested in their ideas. So what needs to go hand in hand, and I think it's actually a circle. Yeah, So you encourage people to come up with these ideas, but then you need to take some of these ideas and actually really make them happen. Because when you do that, people see that you are serious, and they will, come up with another ideas, even better ideas, perhaps. So, and then you have this like instant circle of innovation, of change, that is so healthy and so needed in companies.
Yeah, and you have happier people that work for you. Because, then again, this goes back to simple psychology that every single one of us wants to feel that they belong somewhere, that we have a purpose, that we are considered equal, things like that. And if you help people to um, make their ideas happen, you actually motivate them to stay and work with you. I mean, currently I've been reading quite a lot on this, and I think this is post-pandemic approach that there is globally there is a skill shortage and workforce shortage in many different areas, and especially after the pandemic, the people don't want to go back to what it was before, right? So they want to have that better life, personal life and work-life balance. And actually, especially the younger generation, the Gen Z generation, they are apparently, that's what the studies are showing, or studies in particular are showing that younger generation doesn't necessarily work because of the monetary gains. They want to work because they want to connect with the organization that creates the culture that they connect with. So think about it. You've been an organization on a market for, let's say, I don't know, 60 years or 50 years. You are behemoth, really. But then how are you going to sustain your livelihood if you cannot attract the new workforce that can come over to actually allow you to survive? So you need to make some changes. And one of those changes, my advice is one of those changes is to unlock the potential that the people actually have within the organizations. Without unlocking that potential, you are doomed to fail, I think.
Yeah. You opened another actually area of questions that I would like to touch base with you, which is what you think are the current change challenges that the companies or the entrepreneurs are facing. Obviously, this cultural change, is one of them. Do you see any other key challenges?
Do I see any other key challenges? I probably do. But let me think about that. I think in general, it really depends where you are, right? And what is your career path? If we talk about individuals who have been throughout all of their working life working for a corporate organization, a large corporate organizations, they certainly will have different challenges to the ones that work in smaller businesses or are founders, for example, are business founders, right? So um, from the business founder perspective, I can tell you that um, and I'm not sure if this is a new challenge or this is a everlasting challenge that every single business founder will have. But one of the biggest challenges that I personally have been observing is that I need to be more patient with myself and give time to people to catch up, because oftentimes, and again, everything goes back to what type of person you are. But sometimes we have people who have plenty of ideas and they are like me, which is that I have an idea and why is it not working since yesterday? And then I go and lash out on the people that I work with, and they're like, "Well, hold on, you have just told us about this now," which is stupid. As in my behavior is stupid. But I think the change or the trajectory of change is completely different in larger organizations. obviously they have their shareholders that they respond to. There is a lot at play, so they cannot fail significantly. Whereas if you are a small business owner, you can fail and then you can do it again, but better. So I think these are the biggest differences, but the challenges are plenty of challenges.
The impatience is very, very interesting observation. I see it too, especially as you said, with the entrepreneurs or business owners. And I have a theory that it's probably also driven by the media, the social media, the world around us, that we seem to be pushed to achieve everything faster. If you look, on Instagram, you see all these influencers that say, I'm now earning that much money and it took me just 12 months or maybe even 6 months. Yeah. And then, when you look at it, it's like, oh my God, okay, I'm here struggling for 18 months or 24 months, 2 years, and still know nothing. And then the people start to feel frustrated that they are missing something and so on. I think the patience is important factor, because some changes you unfortunately cannot do overnight. It takes some time. Of course, you can speed it up, and that's what I do for my clients, to find a way how to make it faster, how to make it more efficient. But some things just need time. So to have this kind of patience is a rare new skill set, perhaps, for people to develop, to have a more critical thinking when they see these examples, these stories, to think, okay, is it really a real one? Is it a fake one? Because now you can post everything and you can pretend anything. Yeah, you can just rent a plane. Somebody told me that there is a guy actually who's owning a plane, and the plane is not flying. The plane is just parked, and the influencers and the companies rent it to make pictures there. Yeah. They just
there
come.
you go.
They take a picture, that they are sitting inside, having a drink, or they are onboarding the plane and so on, but they don't fly anywhere. It's just fake,
I don't know. Yes, I actually do have an Instagram account, and I use it to look at dogs and cats because that is relaxing me. But no, in all honesty, I think somebody told me that the other day, and I thought, do you know what? Maybe there is something in it. So, a typical me, I was very impatient with somebody, and I was very short with them. And then the next day I've thought, well, I think I should call and speak to that person. And then she told me, well, you know what? I also did think about your reaction. And I think your reaction is a sign of growth. And I was thinking, okay, that's a very interesting approach. Sure, maybe I was short, but it's because I don't want to be in that situation anymore. This is not what I want to talk about. I want to talk about something that is moving us forward in a different direction. So that impatience, when somebody was talking about the thing which is completely doesn't interest me at all, is I felt that it was wasting my time. Okay. The other thing, which is people looking at social media and thinking that whatever they see there is real. That's probably a subject for a different podcast.
Yeah, perhaps. Yeah. So sorry for drifting away.
No.
But still, if we stay for a while with the impatience, you mentioned that for in the corporate environment, the management is more looking at stability, more trying to be risk averse, to avoid mistakes, which is very true, right? Because they need to protect not only the big organization, because if you have a small business with 5 people and you just screw it up, and it's just you and 5 people, okay, it's bad, but it's it is limited impact. Now, if you have big business and you screw it up, okay, then you are talking hundreds of people, maybe thousands of people who are then impacted. So it gives you some sort of responsibility, right? On the other hand, to have some impatience is always healthy. Yeah? Sometimes I talk, with clients who say, yeah, we have this project, it's a big transformation, and so on. And I ask, okay, and what's the timeline for this project? And they say, okay, so we will start basically next year, and then the project will be for 3 years. So, are you really serious then? Because if you have timeline like that, it immediately tells me that they are not really serious. Yeah?
No.
If you postpone just the start, by 6 months, 12 months, then what's your real motivation? What's your real guts, to go for it? Yeah, probably not that much.
So 2 observations. Observation number 1 is that regardless of where you are in the organization, whether your organization is small or is it humongous, you mustn't be scared to experiment. Experimenting is okay. So enable whatever you need to enable to make experiments happen, and learn from mistakes and not to do the same mistakes again. Learn to build on what didn't work very well to create something better. So I do understand that when the organization is very large, it is usually full of certain processes which are extremely convoluted and oftentimes not necessarily streamlined. So it's not a cookie cutter so you cannot kind of do a lift and shift, right? So you really have to think about every stage of these processes to how to change them in order to fit the new status quo, or how to amend the new status quo to do the other way around, and that requires that time, right? So this is where that patience needs to be built into some achievable timelines. But at the same time, sometimes it's just okay to make a decision. The problem with the big companies is that every single person is scared to make a decision, because the way that the system operates, it doesn't actually allow you, or maybe not allow you, but it doesn't reward you for making a decision and failing. So essentially, you don't make any decisions, and that's why everything lasts such a long time. Whereas if you are if you work for a small organization and you do realize, because at any point of time, wherever you are in a management position, you do realize what is the risk. You must do. So when you realize what is the risk of potentially failing versus staying where you are, and you yet take this approach that you make a decision to potentially fail, that is fantastic. That just moves you forward so quickly.
How do you think the companies are now ready, prepared to face these changes, and have this kind of culture?
I don't know. And again, I think it depends on where you are and what kind of an organization you are. What I think, the thing that I have observed, talking to some of my clients or talking to some of my colleagues who happen to be close to those places, is that, the good thing about your large size organizations, those multinational organizations, is that the good and the bad thing. But one of the good things is that them being divided into different sub organizations, within that small little sub organization, you are actually able to make quick decisions if the management is of that mindset. It doesn't necessarily reflect how the whole organization operates, but at least in that tiny place, it does reflect. And maybe that's part of the experimentation. But certainly, I think that behavior is not applicable everywhere.
Okay, makes sense. Makes sense. Yeah. So I understand you also try to promote in the organizations or in the society, let's say, this kind of culture, the awareness of the change and what it needs to have to make a change successful. So you founded this Change Awards. Can you tell more about, like, what was the idea behind and the story, the history of Change Awards?
Oh yeah, I would love to. This is my baby. So yes, of course. So look, so there is, so I think there was, so the reason why I called the Change Awards is mainly because I thought that the word change management is not necessarily ever encompassing everything that we do, because there's lots of behavior change, there's psychology behind change, right? There is different tools and techniques, that and skills, and like I said, mindset, something that we've already discussed, that doesn't necessarily fit very much into that change management naming, but also, they will be coming from a different angle. So if you think about, as then I was thinking about, well, how does change, organizational change, really look like? And I was thinking, well, okay, you have that implementation phase of any project. So this is where you have the idea generation, and at some point you set up the team, and the team is going to deliver the tangible aspect and non-tangible aspect of it. And I think that's where, in most cases, the change management comes in. And oftentimes people will be saying that, well, actually, it comes even at the end of that particular step, which is the change management professionals will be called in to help with the adoption piece, training, adoption, that type of side of things. But then really, you also have that first stage, which is are you asking the right question? What is the idea generation? Are you investing in the right things? Are you, what is your problem? Do you know actually what is the problem of the customers that's of yours, or are you trying to solve a problem that doesn't exist? That is also an aspect for the change management or the change skill set, really, to tap into. And then, the second part, there is plenty of case studies. That first part, not many case studies, or at least I haven't found any searching through the library of one of the universities. And then the last part, which is how the change skill set can actually physically impact I suppose, the key company KPIs, right? Like your sales targets, your stuff like that. So again, this is something that's a bit wishy-washy. So when I was thinking about the change awards, I was thinking, well, okay, let's call it change awards. So potentially in the future is going to encompass those three areas. And I have, in truth, honesty, have set up the change awards because I was really frustrated because of the lack of recognition that the change management profession has. Over the years, there was this, and I think it still happens somewhat in some places, that victimization, like, oh, the change management is such an understood profession. It's really not. It's not misunderstood anymore. Please stop talking about that. Let's just try to shine the light on the unsung heroes of change, or people and institutions who actually are really serious about enabling change within their organizations. And that's how the idea came about. And we are now in our year 2. I was extremely positively surprised year 1 when we sold so many tickets. And normally when you're organizing events, and I've been organizing events quite a long time in my life, you normally expect, I don't know, like 30% of people to show up. To my event, 95% of people show up. And me being me, I've actually oversold tickets because I was thinking, oh, I'm going to hedge it. Probably 30% of people are not going to show up. So I can sell that extra amount of tickets, hoping that somewhere in the middle people will arrive. No, most of the people arrived and the venue was packed. the venue was not happy.
So
but
not enough
we made
chairs then in the room, yeah?
actually not enough chairs. Honestly, we didn't have enough chairs, and it was funny at some point because I was at the front in the room, and Anna, who's my, she's my brain behind everything and my hands and everything, and she was like maniac, at the back of the room, just telling the venue, bring more chairs, bring more chairs, bring more chairs, and it was fantastic. But yeah, so we want to make sure that we are existing for the community. So the change management community actually have that hook, something that says, hey, there's your tribe, these are the people that probably have the same problems that you can talk to, and maybe they will help you find a solution. These are the people that um, they know your language. You have that belonging, and I think that's why I wanted to get that change awards set up. And and this year we are inviting people to come and apply from around the world, and we've already had some applications from colleagues in different continents. So that really makes me happy. That makes me happy because that makes me think that we are creating something for this community of brilliant people.
Are the applications still open, or what's the timing now?
Yeah. So the applications are still open. They are literally closing at the end of February, so not that much time, but they're really easy. The only thing we want from people is to provide us with a case study, 800 words, star format, so situation, task, action, result. It doesn't have to be, I always get these questions, around the lines of, oh, my project wasn't the most successful. Doesn't matter. What matters is the learning. It matters if you are fair and if you are transparent about the actual the learning that you have received. That's what judges want to know, because every single one of them knows that perfection does not exist. So it's okay to apply, and it's okay to apply with something that is not necessarily perfect. And also, we are not looking for, I suppose we're not looking for something that is extraordinary, because every single one of us, again, change professionals, knows that sometimes doing the smallest thing, like, I don't know, setting up change agent network within the organization that you're working in, that can take time, can take a lot of resources, and can be very problematic. So honestly, anything is fine to apply with.
Yeah, we talk about it in your video series, Does a Winner Wear a Crown?
Yeah.
And you mentioned that according to some survey that you did, 15% of people believe that they are not good enough to apply. And I said to them, you definitely should go for it. Because according to the studies by McKinsey and IBM, 70% of business projects actually fail on expectations. So if you accomplish something, you are already better than majority of the corporate managers. So there is no reason for imposter syndrome. There is no reason to be shy. So if you are listening, go for it. You have still time till the end of February.
Yes, thank you so much. And actually, you're completely right. And there are more benefits really, because it's not that you only can potentially become an award-winning change manager, but that actually does open the door. And case by case, I speak to the winners of the Change Awards, and they tell me, oh, thanks to the Change Awards, I've managed to speak to this institution. Now this institution wants to have, I don't know, a recurring meeting with me when they discuss this and that subject. There's plenty of positivity that can come out of it on a personal level, but also on the level of understanding what the change profession and behavioral change profession can bring to people, the organizations as a whole.
Yeah. And you mentioned that you then evaluate these projects, these applications from three dimensions, right? So I think that you have three pillars also in your jury. So can you perhaps elaborate a little bit, like, how you are going to evaluate? What are these three pillars? Who are the people behind that?
Oh my goodness, I have the most amazing people who sit on the judging committee. I have to admit that I feel like I don't deserve it because they are really very amazing, every single one of them. So the pillars when we were thinking about it, I was thinking, oh, the pillars should be obviously the profession. So the people who represent the profession from the standpoint of practice. Okay, they know the reality. Then you have a second pillar, which is people who teach that profession, at the universities. They speak to students. They talk about organizational change. They develop the profession in its theory. And the third pillar for me was individuals who also represent the bodies of knowledge for the change management in the market. If that makes sense. And we've managed to achieve all of that. So we've got individuals across those three pillars. We've even now expanded to individuals who are more entrepreneurial, and they will be looking at, I suppose, that innovation side of change, which is again a different but exciting angle. And they, as we speak, they are actually working on setting the judging standards for the Change Awards 2024, because every year we built on what we've done last year to make sure that we build in all the knowledge that we've learned, to ensure that it actually definitely 100% suits the case studies that keep coming to us for assessment. So yeah, very, very grateful to have such a fantastic number of people behind us.
The variety of views that you will then have basically in the jury, I think it's another encouraging factor for the people to participate, because sometimes people may think, okay, my project didn't multiply the company revenues by 3, or I haven't, improved the process by, I don't know, tens of percentages or whatever.
Yeah.
But because, you will evaluate and assess these cases through these different lenses, then you can qualify, and I think the winner can be picked up based on variety of criteria, right? So again, to me, it's if you are listening and you are considering should I apply or not, don't be shy, right? Because you don't have to multiply by 2 something, but if you perhaps did some great cultural change in the organization as some side effect or as a part of the project, that I think should be evaluated, right? So that's the way how you look at it.
Yeah, absolutely. And that the way that our categories are built is that we actually recognize people who are just coming to the profession too. So you don't have to have any experience, or you don't have to be really, it can be your first project, but it's okay. We want to be able to spotlight you by the thing that you have achieved. Maybe you're working alongside somebody who has a lot of experience. That's actually also okay. We want to be able to spotlight you too. But then you have individuals who are focusing only on one aspect, let's say, I don't know, building, coaching for change, for example. Right? So coaching for change. So you are not working on the project. Maybe you are actually working in an advisory manner. So there is a space for almost everybody. I do recognize that maybe we haven't yet managed to find the right amount of categories, but we're certainly striving there. And hopefully we are covering majority of variety of change that happens globally.
Mm-hmm. So actually, what are now the categories in the Change Awards?
Oh my God, I was dreading that question because I actually don't know them by heart. But look, I think what I can say is that we've got categories for individuals, and we also have categories for teams and organizations. So the individuals, essentially, as it says on the tin, we recognize people. So maybe you are working for this huge company and you've done those two things. The actual trophy is going to be in your name, right? So Margo Waldorf, Best Change Coach 2024. However, maybe you work as part of the team and you want to spotlight that team. So there are certain categories which will say, hey, team at margowaldorf.co won such and such award for whatever. So we tailor it to those two different, pardon me, to those two different groups, I suppose. And there's quite a few categories. We also recognize that I suppose change happens differently depending on which sector you work in. So we're now saying that hopefully we'll be able to differentiate between the private third sector and the public sector, because actually we know for a fact that there is different access to resources and therefore maybe different approaches. So we want to be able to differentiate it, and hopefully actually in a long term we'll be able to see the pattern and come up with some fantastic case studies on the best practice application across those three different sectors. So that's all I can say. But all the details are on our website. So that's www.changeawards.co. So go to the website and you'll find all the details there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the differentiation of these categories or these industries, I think it's a really cool idea, because I know people who were working on some project in like public sector, and it was much more difficult. It took much longer time, and it took huge, tremendous effort. So that achievement is really something. Yeah, compare that, to some smaller company that is more agile, more fast. You can achieve things faster. So to compare then these two, like you were working 2 years on something, and that guy just 2 months. But it's a smart idea actually to separate that, to recognize the difference in the industries.
I thought so.
So time-wise, we said that the applications are till the end of February. And then what happens then? Then it's going to be the selection process by the jury, right? And the big announcement is planned when?
Yeah, so the 29th of February, then over the weekend, my team sits together and we actually blind the case study. So we remove all the identifiable information from it. And then once we remove that, we give it to the judges. So the judges are already grouped into different groups. Essentially, we've got 4 groups of judges, and they will be judging across different categories. All of that arrives in their inbox on a particular day. They do their judging process, which again is they do it themselves. Then they meet again in the group, and then they meet with the head judge. In March, dates to be seen, we will have the shortlist event. It is going to be probably an online event. We are hoping to make it hybrid, but it's likely to be just an online event where we are going to announce, your top 3 or top 4. And then on the 25th of April, 2024, our biggest, the most fantastic night of your, I suppose, business calendar, which is the Change Awards ceremony, is going to happen, and it's going to be fabulous. I mean, we always try to make sure this is very fabulous and luxurious, and it's a black tie event.
So
People are
very
coming in,
Bondian,
and
yeah?
pardon?
So very Bondian, actually.
Yes, exactly. It's very funny that you say that, because
And it's in London, right? So
it's in London.
That's
It's
why I
in
say that.
London. It's in London. It's very funny that you say it's a very like a bond, because last year we had our host Jeff. He's over 2 meters tall, and he's a fantastic speaker. Oh my goodness, a really fantastic and captivating. And every person that I have spoken to, they very much loved him. But when I stand next to him and my girlfriends were standing next to him, we're like, okay, he's there, and we are literally here. We were joking that he's the Bond and we are the Bond girls. So it was funny, but yeah, it's look, and the event is and again, this is for mainly because I don't like your usual award type of events where you come in, you sit at the table, and you cannot move from away of the table.
Especially because you don't have enough chairs, right?
Exactly. Exactly. So we don't have chairs, so people will need to stand. No, but what we are doing is that we want the actual ceremony to be quite concise. So we keep people sat down for a very short time, as in like as much is it possible, right? So within the time frame of what is possible, and then the majority of the evening is actually around networking and getting to know one another, and opening up to different people, different ideas, etc. And this year we actually, I'm not going to say but what it is, but we are actually thinking about introducing some even better ways for networking. We had a fantastic lady come in and support us last year. Her name is Esther Stanhope, and then she did this humongously funny networking event for us, which maybe lasted maybe about 10 minutes. And but the good thing is that people can get relaxed and get to know the person who sits next to you. So we want to do something similar this year as well. Um, and the feedback that we are getting is that people are creating their own communities now. They meet every so often, and they talk about things which are relevant to their organizations, just creating those communities. And I think that's fantastic because you probably are similar to me. You want to make sure that people really know the ins and outs of psychology behind change, whether this is your individual change that needs to happen to you, maybe in relation to your own patients like me, but or maybe this is that huge change that needs to happen across organizations. So we're very happy to be able to provide that to other people.
I like it very much, this idea to mixing up people who are in the same niche, because we are not that many. So to create this kind of community that people will know each other, they will be able to touch base, cooperate perhaps in future on some projects, etc. That's really cool. That's really cool. Okay, so April 25th is gonna be the day, right?
Yes, it's already in calendar. I hope that it's already in yours as well, Victor. So
Yeah. So what after that? Do you plan any other events, anything for the rest of the year? What are your plans?
yeah, so we are certainly always working on making sure that it just doesn't stop on the 25th of April, right? So we want to make sure that that community that is supporting the Change Awards, we're actually now able to give something back to the community. We're working with our partners on creating that calendar, if you wish, of events. Last year, we've done events called the Change Talks.
Oh no!
But it was different Change Talks. Okay. So it was half hybrid. It was a hybrid event where we invited the winners and the judges to the room for a panel discussion, and then we had people joining from all over the world online, and they were actually able to ask questions to people in the room, which was fantastic, really. On the back of that, we had some interviews, video interviews recorded, and I think most of them are now available to download or to watch, and also one of our partners is writing a report on misconceptions of change, which I thought is very timely because I know that you also are keen on the subject of misconceptions of change. So when this comes out, I make sure to pass it on to you as well for your input.
Yeah, definitely curious, if you have the same observations on the misconceptions.
Yeah, because I think, market to market, and again, I think we should be learning from different markets a little bit more. So I've been recently following this lady, I forget her name. I forget her name, but so she's Polish, and because I've never so all of my adult life or my working life, I've only operated in English language. I actually don't know how to say things in Polish language. If I wanted to explain what I do, I actually don't know it. And she knows it because she actually works in Poland. And I was thinking, oh my God, I just have to really follow her a little bit more, just so I can understand what it is. And that's fantastic because really, you learn what is happening in terms of the maturity of the market in different places, first of all, but you can also, get some ideas from the others. And that's why I think connecting market to market, geography to geography is very important. So you're just not only, living in your own bubble, but reach out to others. So very much appreciate that you and I can have a conversation today.
Cool. Okay. So, are there any ways how people can reach you on social media or the website? You already mentioned, the website for the Change Awards. So, how people can get in touch with you?
Oh, many ways, really. Yeah, if I think the easiest way is to either go through Change Awards. There is an email there, which is hello@changeawards.co. Just email that email, and somebody from the team is going to pick it up. I also have my own website, which is mwaldorf.co, and the email address is margo@mwaldorf.co. So this is a bit of I suppose like a personal website that is in the future going to encompass all of the projects that I'm working on. And LinkedIn, really. I'm quite active on LinkedIn. Get nudged by LinkedIn to post more. I think they love it. Once you start being a content creator, they just enable this to you in so many ways to make sure that you stay with them. So LinkedIn, just find me on LinkedIn, Margo Waldorf. Probably actually in your Victor, in your connections, if somebody wants to dig down there, they may be able to find me.
Definitely, I will put all these contact details into the episode description so that you will find it there, and you will be just one click away from Margo. Cool.
Thank you, Ken.
Margo, thank you for joining the Change Talks podcast. This was really refreshing to talk to someone who is in the same profession. So once again, thank you so much, and all the best wishes in your change projects and in the Change Awards.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me. I did love the discussion because it wasn't easy, and I value that. When it's easy, it's boring. So thank you kindly for being challenging.
Welcome. So, of course, if you like and enjoy the show, please give us a follow, give us the 5-star rating, because that helps to get the content to more people just like you to benefit from the information and from the knowledge. So thank you for listening. Have a great time. Until next time, and make the change work.